Coming up, a Maryland town relives its worst nightmare, suffering its second major flood in less than 2 years.
Which was just like the worst deja vu ever.
But the people of this community are standing tall, rebuilding, and literally saving themselves.
I'll give you a big medal that you should wear around your neck. I'm a hero.
Heroes are the best of humanity in the worst of times.
If you've had the misfortune of living through something as horrible as a flood, you might be inclined to think that that was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. You're about to hear a story about one Baltimore suburb that was hit with flooding twice within 2 years. What makes this even more extraordinary is how much the people there had each other's backs. Ellicott City, Maryland is a quaint, historic town of just over 65,000 people. Nestled in a valley between two rivers, the Tiber and the Patapsco, it also houses the oldest surviving train station in the United States. But perhaps most importantly, Ellicott City is as close-knit a community as they come.
I've been in Ellicott City for 22 years in business. I love this town. This town is like my family away from my family.
We've had husbands and wives who've met here. And birthdays celebrated, and graduations, and engagements, and you just become a part of the community.
In July of 2016, another major life event hit this charming town, a devastating flood that wiped out many businesses right along Main Street.
Terrifying, terrible. We lost everything, I lost everything, and I don't know, it was just supposedly a 1,000-year flood.
People are still a little on edge after the flood in 2016.
Yeah, we don't like rain down here. 2016, we were out of work for 6 months.
But incredibly, the selfless spirit of teamwork helped the town and the Phoenix rise to glory once again.
My employees were without jobs and should have been out looking for other employment. Instead, they came here and grabbed shovels and suits and masks and dug us out and helped us rebuild and helped us get reopened.
And just as Mark had done a couple doors away, Joan Eve decided to rebuild her business.
At that time, I was 73 years old, and I felt like I still had the energy and the go-get-it to do it again. And Gary was right by my side and helped me get started again with getting the inventory placed and all that.
Fast forward to less than 2 years later, Memorial Day weekend, 2018, when the unthinkable happened.
It started to rain around 4 o'clock. We had customers in the store. We cut them little plastic bags and put them over them so they wouldn't get all soaked, hoping afterwards that they made it okay.
We were here, it was raining. There was a lot of water coming down the street, rushing down next to the curbs, down the sidewalk, which is normal when you're in a valley.
And then it just didn't stop, and it didn't let up at all. I've never seen it pour so hard. It was crazy. And it went from filling up the gutters to suddenly it was at the curb, and then it was over the sidewalk, and it was just 2016 all over again. Here we go again, everybody.
It wasn't very long after that, the barrage of 911 calls requesting assistance came in. The water was moving much quicker than what any of us had ever seen before. We were dealing with 5 feet of fast-moving water that was swallowing up cars and pushing cars down the street.
And then looked, and there was just a wall of water coming down the road, like 5 or 6 feet high.
Guys, we've got cars floating again.
First responders arrived on scene almost instantly, but because of the river of water coming down the street, they had almost no access to the Phoenix and other businesses. That's when everyday people had to step up and help each other the best they could.
All of a sudden, it wasn't just coming in like a little puddle into the front. It was coming in fast and furious. I didn't even see what had happened in the back of the store. saw it in the videos afterwards, that the floor had burst through on the back left, and the water was coming in like crazy.
I remember saying to Joan, we have to get out of here. It is getting out of control, and we need to get to higher ground.
And at that point, we were kind of like, all right, like, we're not doing this. Get customers through the kitchen and upstairs.
We got everybody upstairs, and then the carnage kind of started.
On Memorial Day weekend in 2018, Ellicott City, Maryland was blindsided by its second flash flood in 2 years. The flash flooding continued to rise to life-threatening levels, trapping shop owners and others without an escape route.
Are we up high enough?
At the Phoenix, remembering lessons learned from that fateful flood in 2016, the staff immediately snapped into action.
So this time, we certainly weren't prepared for it, but our reaction to it was better.
We'd done it before. We knew we lost a lot, so we were just trying to make it easier on us to come back.
And then we just kind of start thinking about all the inventory that we lost the first time. And we're like, we need to go get the computers. We need to go get the money. We need to get the credit cards. So we come back down and we start grabbing as much as we possibly can and just running it upstairs.
However, the waters just kept rising, so Mark soon ordered his employees to stop going downstairs. He was concerned for their safety. Minutes later, all the way down Main Street, first-floor windows and doors were being blown out by the tremendous power of water.
I'm on the second floor. I have my phone out the window, and it looks like it was like coming in waves up to 12 feet high. I was like, that's happening right now. We're doing this again, which was just like the worst deja vu ever.
There was this car that had been shoved up against this telephone pole with a tree inside of it. And suddenly we've got, across the street, the electrical lines are falling over and they're starting to spark. So at that point, we bring everybody in from the balcony. We don't need anybody getting shocked on top of everything else. It was just like very dramatic, very much like a scene out of a movie.
These employees went from being employees to being, comforters is the right word, rescuers, but they were in charge. They made sure everyone was safe. It was pretty remarkable to see.
If you find yourself trapped in a disaster situation, it's very important to remain calm, focused, and thinking clearly. Of course, whenever first responders are in the area, pay attention and listen to their instructions. But if they're not there yet, your next best bet is to find someone who's trained to respond in emergencies and follow their lead.
As many people were, for the time being, safe on upper floors, Joan Eve Shea Cohen and her friend Gary Weltner were dangerously trapped by the ferocious floodwaters with nowhere to go and in desperate need of help.
He just said, hold on as tight as you can. And I did. With one arm, I'm holding onto a railing across the Tiber River Bridge. So as he was bent over, actually trying to get forward, I looked like I was on his back. I probably was on his back, actually.
This brief glimpse of video taken by a neighbor captured Joan Eve and Gary as they slogged through the treacherous current. Another neighbor, Callie Harris, was trapped in her third-floor apartment across the street and watched it all play out.
It was really, so scary to watch because I was so helpless in the matter. There's nothing I could do. I just had to watch them kind of fight for their lives.
I looked over my right shoulder at one point, and I saw that two of the railings that I had just held onto had broken away.
And I yelled, Gary, the railing's giving out. We're gonna drown in the Tiber. And he said, Joni, just hold on.
The unrelenting storm wound up choking the area with more than 8 inches of rain in just 3 hours. The Tiber River rose an astonishing 4 feet in just 13 minutes.
At one moment, I was completely paralyzed. I couldn't move, and I really thought that this could be the end. But somehow, I guess it might be adrenaline to find the force and the energy to pull. And as we got around the corner of the pillar, the water was not as strong, so we managed to continue up the back alley to safety, up onto the deck above.
At last, the duo miraculously managed to stagger up the relative safety of the deck.
So we got up onto the deck, and the two of us, we hugged and we kissed, and Joni looked at me and she said, "Gary, this must not be our time."
Special bonds and a spirit of selflessness were forged in these floods.
There are heroes in all shapes and sizes. I was amazed at the response of my staff to focus on, the safety and well-being of our customers first. It was immediate. There wasn't really a thought. I think the actions of my staff likely saved several lives.
Welcome back. The people of Ellicott City, Maryland will never forget the flash flood that took their town hostage one Memorial Day weekend. Hundreds of people were trapped on Main Street for more than 3 hours. Some were forced to scramble to higher ground. And as conditions changed, first responders were able to rush in and rescue those who were stranded.
You have to take into consideration the debris floating in the water, down power lines because the power poles are getting knocked over by the water that's moving down the street. So the hazards are all abound, all around them, and knowing where those hazards are and anticipating on what had to be done.
Ellicott City resident Callie Harris, though safe, was trapped with no way out.
I was really panicked before. It was really scary being in there alone. I have no idea how the firefighters got into my building because the back part is kind of on a hill and it's hard to access and there was water rushing down. I had to go with a firefighter who was so nice, and we crawled up on the rooftops and then down some stairs, and he helped me across the street up to higher ground and made sure I was safe.
Back at the Phoenix, a different kind of support was taking place.
At one point, I'm looking around, and I don't see Mark anywhere. So I go to find him, and he's up in the office. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm taking care of payroll." It was the most amazing thing to me that his first thought was, are my employees gonna be able to pay their bills?
With Mark busy being a hero for his employees, Howard County first responders were on top of evacuations, not just in Ellicott City, but the entire area.
There were a lot of other incidents happening across the county and throughout the region that needed to be handled relatively quickly. So that was a challenge for us very early on to make sure that we dove out enough resources to make sure that we could get the job done safely and to be able to, give the people the service and the help that they needed.
They were helping everybody, get out and get to higher ground because there were a lot of people there. So they had a big job to do. Just to know the firefighters had my back and, they were in there with me and I wasn't totally alone anymore was really nice.
Across the street, Joan Eve was so grateful that her quick-thinking friend literally had her back.
But I will tell you that had Gary not been there, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know.
I can't say that I can even imagine what my life would be like without her, but I am so grateful that I was able to do whatever I was capable of doing to save my dearest friend.
The best. The best. I can give you a big medal that you should wear around your neck. I'm a hero.
In the months following its second massive flood in 2 years, the people of Ellicott City showed up strong and dug deep once again. Despite their broken hearts and damaged buildings, they rebuilt that beautiful town. But for Joan Eve, who narrowly escaped with her life, the immediate aftermath of the flood was too much to take.
This is our building.
Right here, the blue one.
Yeah.
The gray one.
It's gray, it's blue. Yeah. Oh my, oh my, oh my, okay. Well, at this point, I'm not returning to having my own store. I have to admit, I'm still paying off debts from the 2016 flood.
And after going through not one, but 2 floods, Callie Harris decided to move on.
It just was time to rebuild somewhere else and start fresh, especially after being through something that traumatic.
However, on a gorgeous day in 2019, some of the folks gathered for a little reunion to celebrate in the spirit that got them through that flood. And where better to meet up than the reopened Phoenix?
We're happy to be back up and running, and
You're a landmark here.
we are. But
You know, really, when people talk about coming to Ellicott City, oh, we'll meet you at the Phoenix.
the customers feel so attached. This community has been such an integral part of our business that it only made sense that it was the community is the reason that we got this place cleaned out and rebuilt, and we're back open.
He's a great boss. I think we all want to help him, and we all want to come back to work here. I think we all consider it like a home.
The very act of rebuilding is an act of love. You're making a commitment to the place you were in, the place you made great memories. Sure, it's hard, and there is pain and loss that has happened, but the human spirit will prevail. And that's pretty amazing to see, especially in a beautiful town like Ellicott City.
This is everyone's favorite restaurant. When it snows, everything else is closed, schools are closed, works are closed. Everyone who is within walking distance just all meets here.
And it's great to be down here and see you guys nice and clean. I saw them every day trying to salvage what they could, and the amount of work they were doing just on their business and all the businesses along Main Street. They are resilient. They're not going to let this go away, and they'll rebuild the best they can, and we'll keep supporting them.
Your department saved countless lives at that. The Howard County Fire Department helped. The Howard County Police Department. It was an unbelievable coordinated effort. Yeah, we sincerely appreciate it.
This community is so tight. It's so amazing. A lot of us are really eccentric and just like weird and different, but like we all make it work and we're all in it together. And I think that shows more than anything in the aftermath of a disaster like this, when everyone just shows up for everybody else. And I think that's really moving and really important, and makes me feel really good as a person. It makes me really proud to be a part of it.
I think what I miss the most about being in this wonderful, charming, historic Ellicott City are all my friends. I mean, I'm gonna start to cry because I know so many of them, probably the majority of them, who own businesses here too. And we were all so close. Everybody cooperated, everybody liked each other. You know, everybody wanted everybody to do well.
It's remarkable how fast Ellicott City is rebuilding. And I do admire the courage and the determination of the people of this town and the resilience to want to come back, even in an area where this may happen again.
I really, in my gut, feel that Ellicott City will be here for many years to come because of everything it's already been through. I mean, supposedly the history says that our town has been flooding since the 1700s. Well, if that's true, we're still here. All over the world, through wars and floods and volcanoes and fires, historic places have been destroyed, but they've come back. That's why I really believe Ellicott City will remain. It will remain because there are strong people that want it to remain. And I'm certainly one of them. Even though I don't have a business here, I'll certainly support anything they want to do to keep it going.
Thanks to the community for coming together, the hardship from this historic flood was eased. It's the human spirit at its best. I'm Ginger Z. Thanks so much for watching.